Hello everyone, it's Mike from ClearCode, and in today's video presentation we're going to be looking at influencer marketing. So we've got quite a few different topics that we'll be covering today. First of all, we'll have a quick look at what influencer marketing is and how it's evolved. We'll look at the different types of influencer marketing, the growth of it as an industry, the main benefits for brands and agencies, and the advantages that it offers over other digital marketing channels. We'll also look at the main challenges and opportunities in the influencer marketing industry, and then we'll finish off with a couple of slides about the approach that we take when we build influencer marketing platforms for our clients. So first of all, a quick definition of about what influencer marketing is. Most people watching this video will have a pretty good idea about what influencer marketing is and how it works. But essentially, it's a form of social media marketing that uses endorsements and product mentions from influencers who are typically individuals that have a large, dedicated and engaged audience and are often viewed as experts within their niche. So if we think about the typical examples of influencer marketing, like the ones we see on Instagram, usually the influencers on that platform are ones that typically post about a specific topic, whether it's fashion or cooking or health and fitness or whatever, and they typically have a fairly dedicated audience. So we'll have a quick look at the evolution of influencer marketing, because influencer marketing itself has been around for probably 10 years or so, but it definitely has its roots in some other similar forms of marketing that date back even to the 1930s and 1940s, when Coca-Cola first started using the figure of Santa Claus in their advertisements. And this is obviously a fairly smart move by Coca-Cola, and it's something that they've done repeatedly over the years. And it was essentially a way for Coca-Cola, or for at least for Coca-Cola, to get their target audience or customers to have the same positive connotations, the same positive feelings that people had towards Father Christmas, and essentially, have those same feelings towards Coca-Cola as a brand. And then then we saw some other forms of this type of marketing, with sports athletes, professional athletes endorsing or being sponsored by large brands, as we saw with Michael Jordan during his time as a professional basketball player. Obviously, had a long-standing sponsorship with Nike. There, he used to promote a lot of their products. He even had his own sort of product line with Nike as well. So that's also still a very popular form of marketing, this sponsorship type form. And then we've obviously got today's type of marketing, which we see as influencer marketing, which is predominantly on social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. All right, so we'll have a quick look at the difference between influencer marketing and celebrity endorsements, because on the surface they do seem like very similar types of advertising, but there are a couple of small differences between them. So influencer marketing is typically associated with word of mouth advertising, where brands pay people with engaged audiences on social media platforms to promote their products or services. Whereas celebrity endorsements, is typically where brands pay famous people like professional athletes, musicians and actors to use their celebrity status to promote their product or service. So as I said, they're very similar. There's a couple of really small differences between them. All right, so here are just a couple of the main types of influencers that you'll typically see on social media platforms. We've got bloggers, which blogging has been around for quite a while. It's still a very popular and common type of influencer marketing. But then we've also got vloggers, people who create videos on YouTube, podcasters, and of course, all the influencers that you see on social media platforms like Instagram. So the growth of influencer marketing has obviously increased over the past few years. It is becoming a very popular form of advertising, and more brands and agencies are getting involved in creating influencer marketing platforms. And we can obviously see that with the growth of it, with more ad spend, more dollars being pushed into this particular industry, and no doubt it is going to continue to grow over the next few years, particularly when it's likely going to be influenced by a number of different factors. Obviously, just the popularity of it and the results that some companies are getting is definitely one big driver. But also, when you think of, for example, the programmatic advertising industry, which is typically like display advertising, there are a number of really big challenges that companies are coming up against in that particular industry, mainly around the privacy topic. So obviously, while those areas are still going to be really big areas of digital marketing and will continue to be so over the next few years, it is likely that we'll see more dollars being spent on influencer marketing as more brands and agencies experiment with this form of marketing. All right, so if we look now quickly at the growth of influencer marketing compared to the overall growth of digital advertising, obviously it is a very small part of the overall digital advertising industry worldwide, but no doubt, as I said before, it is an area, it's one of the areas that will obviously increase over the next few years. All right, so if we look at the growth of influencer marketing quickly, just looking at some statistics, some reports that MediaKit have done recently found that 80% of marketers find influencer marketing effective. 90% of marketers say that the ROI or the return on investment from influencer marketing is comparable or better than other marketing channels. And 65% of influencer marketing budgets will increase in the year 2020. So if we now look at a couple of the main benefits of influencer marketing, first of all, it is a great way to build brand awareness. And one of the main reasons for this is because the actual the ads themselves that appear on social media platforms that are promoted by influencers, they are very visually appealing. As you can see here, they attract a lot of attention. They're very visual, and they are in many ways in stark contrast to some of the ads that you'll see on web pages, for example. Like if we think of some of the typical banner ads, some of those aren't very engaging. Some of those are just text-based, whereas these types of ads, they're basically a form of native advertising where the ads themselves match the form and function and the rest of the content on those platforms, which makes it a really appealing way to get brand awareness across those social media platforms. Another one is that it's a really natural way of reaching a target audience. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the first point about brand awareness, but it is a really, really natural way of showing ads compared to some other types of advertising. For example, if you look at the ad or the post here on the left, you wouldn't, without reading the text, you wouldn't really know what is being advertised here, what's being sponsored. It could be an ad promoting the pizza, so it could be an ad for the pizza restaurant, or it could be an ad promoting the hat or the sunglasses or something. But in this case, it's an ad. A post promoting the jeans there. So yeah, it's particularly with advertising, a lot of consumers can get quite frustrated with the amount of ads that they see on some web pages, and some of the ads, are not really that relevant to them in some cases. Whereas with influencer marketing, as you can see here, even though it is an ad, it is promoting a specific product. It's done in a very natural and subtle way, which is, again, one of the main reasons why it can be quite effective for brands as well. And the third benefit is that influencer marketing can help drive sales. So as we can see in this example here, this is a video talking about what's in this girl's travel bag. In the video, she mentions a number of different products that she has in there, and even though in the description those are affiliate links, this is still a form of influencer marketing, because it is using someone's influence to potentially drive sales for a brand. And as we can see on the right here, there was some data coming out of eMarketer that showed that mentions from influencers on different social media platforms actually had a bigger impact or bigger influence on a consumer's decision to then purchase that particular product or service compared to celebrity endorsements. So even though the scale of this is not going to be as big, if you've got someone like Cristiano Ronaldo promoting some Nike shoes, it's obviously going to have a lot of reach compared to, for example, someone promoting a product or service in a YouTube video. The impact of that ad as far as driving sales is typically a lot higher, or at least it's higher as reported in this study here. So again, influencer marketing doesn't just have to be about promoting, brand awareness. It can also be about driving sales and driving conversions as well. So just to highlight some of the success that some brands are having with influencer marketing, there was some data coming out of the World Federation of Advertisers that stated that 74% of marketers said that influencer marketing helped them reach new or target audiences. It also helped them strengthen brand advocacy, according to 69% of marketers surveyed, and also 46% said that it helps increase sales conversions as well. All right, so looking at a couple of the main advantages of influencer marketing compared to other digital marketing channels. As I mentioned before, it is a very natural way to reach an audience. And again, it is very similar to native advertising where the ad very much blends in with the rest of the content. So it's kind of, it can be, as I said, and as we've seen previously on some examples, it can be hard to tell whether it's actually a regular organic post or whether it is actually an ad. It also has limited reliance on third and first party data, which is typically, when we think of programmatic advertising, for example, there is typically a large reliance on third-party data, for example, even first-party data, where the whole goal is to identify individuals across different websites, essentially, going out and finding your audience across many different, hundreds or thousands of different websites. Whereas with influencer marketing, the audience is typically defined already, right? So if you're let's say you're a health and fitness company, you have a product that you want to sell, it wouldn't take you that long to find influencers that would have that audience that you're looking for, right? You just need to go out and find influencers that, promote health and fitness, for example, and, there's a big chance that their audience are going to be a pretty good match for your product or service. Also, it is fairly resistant to privacy-related issues like we see in, the display advertising world. There are, issues like ad blocking, there's the GDPR, and also the web browser privacy settings that have changed recently, for example, in Safari, Firefox, and Chrome. Those are huge challenges and problems for brands and agencies and even publishers and ad tech companies operating in the display advertising industry because it is making it harder for companies to run effective advertising and measure the performance of that, and also it impacts ad targeting as well. Whereas with influencer marketing, those aren't really issues, right? I mean, ad blocking is not really an issue on platforms like Instagram or Facebook. Is not really an issue at all. Even the GDPR side of things, if you're just running some sort of brand awareness, you don't even really need to collect user level data in order to do that. So it does have many benefits on that privacy front as well compared to other forms of digital advertising and marketing. And also lastly, as we've mentioned before, banner blindness is less of an issue, right? So if we're looking at an example of that, just to iterate this point, on the top left here, we've got an example of some typical banner ads that you'll see on different web pages. And then at the bottom right, we've got an example of an influencer marketing ad. So as you can see, they are very different forms of advertising, and you could argue that obviously the influencer marketing example is a lot more it is a lot more engaging, a lot more attractive as well. So it does have typically a higher potential to produce more effective advertising campaigns. But of course, this is obviously on a situation by situation type scenario. Okay, so now looking at some of the main challenges facing the influencer marketing industry. So as I said earlier, it is only, compared to other forms of digital advertising and marketing, it's a fairly young channel. So it's there are obviously a number of challenges that need to be overcome, and these challenges, you're going to find challenges with every kind of new channel. But some of the main ones are spotting fake followers, social algorithm changes that can impact whether influencers' post is shown enough or not, rising influencer costs, reducing time spent managing campaigns, measuring success and calculating ROI. This is actually quite an important one because with influencer marketing compared to other channels, it can be a little bit harder to actually measure the success and calculate the ROI of campaigns. And this is caused mainly by technical challenges. So if you're going from Instagram, for example, to a web page, there is quite a bit of data that is lost that would typically be used to help measure and attribute the conversions. So this is one probably main technical challenge that should be addressed over the coming years. And no doubt there are a lot of companies that are addressing this by utilizing or using different types of attribution modeling for this particular channel. Some other ones, we've got a brand safety and alignment. This is an issue that's in every advertising and marketing channel. Regulations and requirements of the Federal Trade Commission. This is probably not so much of an issue now. The FTC and other government agencies have also put out recommendations for things like native advertising and influencer marketing to ensure that consumers know which posts are promoted and which ones aren't. So it's really just a matter of understanding what the regulations and requirements are for influencer marketing advertising campaigns. And the last one is about providing a good good influencer experience as well. And this also has to do with mainly the influencer marketing platforms, making sure that the whole process is fairly automated and streamlined as well. Okay, so we'll look at a couple of the main business opportunities for influencer marketing platforms. Now, ClearCode is not a business consultancy. We're a development company, but certainly, if you are looking at creating an influencer marketing platform, these are probably two things that you should look at initially. So obviously, there are quite a lot of influencer marketing platforms already on the market. So it does make a lot of sense to see if there is any kind of niche that you can sort of tap into, right? Whether you build a influencer marketing platform for a specific vertical, right? Whether it's, fashion, maybe not fashion, it's probably fairly saturated, but maybe for a certain group of people or something like that. Also, another really good business opportunity to look into would be to focus on solving the main challenges that we've talked about on the previous slide there as well. This is also another good way that some ad tech companies in other channels have focused on, looking at solving the main technical challenges and providing value that way. All right, so again, here are just three of the main technical challenges that companies can solve in the influencer marketing industry. As I mentioned before, influencer fraud is a big one, right? There are, across any kind of social media platform, you're going to have fake followers, which can obviously skew the results, and it can also cause brands and agencies to lose money on their campaigns, right? And which, of course, is not good for the growth of influencer marketing as a whole. If advertisers and agencies feel that they're getting ripped off constantly, if they feel that their ads aren't being shown to their target audience, and then simply not going to invest more money in it, which is obviously going to have a negative effect on the growth of the industry. So that's one big challenge that can be, that can be solved through technological innovation. The next one, as I mentioned earlier, is about ROI. Okay, so again, it can be quite hard. Well, it is harder to measure the ROI in most cases of influencer marketing ads compared to, campaigns run inside or on the web, like on web pages, for example, mainly because of the way that data is transferred between web pages. It's obviously a lot different if you're going from Instagram to a web page, for example. A lot of that referrer information that you would typically use to attribute, for example, ad clicks to conversions is lost when you're moving from a social media platform to a web page, because it would typically just show up as a direct visit, unless of course the URL is tagged, etc. But regardless, there are a couple of really key challenges to solve around the attributing clicks, attributing even impressions to subsequent web visits and conversions, etc. So there's a whole range of things that you can do to address this issue with the ROI and attribution topic. And the third one's about campaign automation. So even though a lot of the main influencer marketing platforms automate a lot of the mundane and manual processes, there are still a few different areas of influencer marketing that can be automated to make the whole process more efficient. All right, so here are just a couple of, or handful really, of the main influencer marketing platforms. Of course, there are many, many other ones, but these are typically the ones you're going to hear about the most often. So again, a lot of these different influencer marketing platforms, provide a lot of the key functionalities that you'd be looking for when building an influencer marketing platform. Again, a lot of it has to do with automation. A lot of it has to do with adding in a lot of different services that would be needed. For example, connecting brands and agencies with influencers, providing information on, the influencers' reach, their audience, and also other things like payments as well. So there's a whole bunch of different features that you can build for your influencer marketing platform. And again, these are just a snapshot really, or screenshots of some of the influencer marketing platforms that you'll see out there. So again, there's each of them are fairly, even though they are fairly similar, that there are a couple of differences between these different platforms, not only in the look and the feel, but also in the feature sets as well. All right, so just quickly, a couple of reasons why why you should be looking at building influencer marketing platform if it is something you're looking at doing. Here are a couple of the main reasons. As we mentioned previously, it is a fast-growing area of digital marketing, and also there's a lot of growth potential. Not only in the popularity of it, not only in the increase in ad spend, but also as we said before, there are a lot of opportunities. Well, there are a lot of challenges, which also means there's a lot of opportunities as well. All right, so now here's just a quick snapshot of the development process that ClearCode follows when we build influencer marketing platforms for our clients and when we build other ad tech and martech platforms. So there are essentially four main stages. The first one is what we call the discovery phase, and this is where we gather your business requirements and work on defining the technical requirements of the project. So there's a whole range of things that we'll look at in this particular stage, but it typically involves gathering the main features that you want to include and also the software performance that you're wanting to achieve. The next stage is to select the tech stack. So here we'll select the main programming languages, the frameworks, the infrastructure, etc. And the third stage is where we design and build the minimum viable product, or the MVP. So this phase is where all the development will take place, and it typically lasts for about 3 to 4 months, depending on the complexity of the project, the deadlines that you might have, and also the features that you wanted to include as well. And then the last phase is the launch of the MVP, and testing it with your initial users or showcasing it to investors or stakeholders to get some feedback. And then from there, it's a matter of building the features that you want to build to extend the platform even further, based on feedback and based on your own product roadmap. All right, so that brings us to the end of today's video presentation. If you are looking at building an influencer marketing platform, if you've got some questions for us, please feel free to reach out to us and we can help answer some questions there. Or if you've got any questions about any of the information we've mentioned in today's presentation, again, feel free to get in contact with us as well. And we'll see you next time.